Super Bowl winner Patrick Mahomes is considered one of, if not the best, quarterback currently in the NFL. But he could have taken an entirely different path in life and seriously considered doing so. As a teen, Mahomes was saddled with a huge decision that impacted his future on a scale he didn't fully understand. While grabbing the dangling prospect of professional football dreams might seem a no-brainer, it wasn't so simple for Mahomes. He had outside pressures that were wrapped in family. A remarkable career. Mahomes clearly made the right choice. Since joining the Kansas City Chiefs in 2017, he has only continued to rise. Mahomes broke into the team some 12 months later and was subsequently named the NFL's MVP Most Valuable Player after a hugely impressive season. The quarterback's successful passes totaled nearly 5,100 yards and resulted in 50 touchdowns. And it wasn't just a flash in the pan. Support from his parents. Mahomes has continued to impress for the Chiefs, leading to his 2 successes at the Super Bowl, and we wouldn't put it past him to secure a few more titles before his career wraps up. Needless to say, none of this would have been possible without the help and support of his parents. Yet the NFL star certainly had an interesting childhood compared to most. His superstar dad. As Randy and Pat's first child, Patrick was welcomed into the world in September 1995 in the city of Tyler, Texas. They raised him together, but thanks to his dad's career, the youngster very rarely stayed in one spot for an extended period of time. After all, Pat was a pro baseball player, spending 11 years in MLB between 1992 and 2003. Growing up around professional sport, taking on the role of pitcher, Pat represented a bunch of different teams during his career, including the Chicago Cubs, the Texas Rangers, and the New York Mets. As a result of that, his son found himself around professional sport from a very young age. But while that might have had a positive impact on Patrick, the same can't be said for Randy. Pat and Randy's relationship. Randy first met Pat after high school, and they hit it off in a big way. In the initial stages of their romance, though, she didn't have a clue that he was an emerging baseball star. Still, once she found out, Patrick's mom wasn't put off soon enough. The couple tied the knot, the breaking point. But as the years went on, Randy found that Pat's baseball career was putting a huge strain on their marriage. It proved too much in the end, prompting them to split up in 2006. Not even their shared love of Patrick and his younger brother Jackson Mahomes could save the relationship. Now, though, the parents are pretty good friends, regardless of what had happened back then. Early signs of interest. Did that period of friction affect Patrick? It couldn't have been easy. Yet having said that, he started to show signs that he was interested in his dad's sport prior to the split. For instance, when Pat played for the Mets, the youngster used to practice hitting inside the team's home stadium. The future NFL star was barely 5 years old at the time, hanging out with star names. On top of that, Patrick also got to spend time with some notable MLB players whenever he turned up with his dad. Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter are a couple of examples. Rod even joined the kid inside the Texas Rangers batting cages to share helpful advice. And Pat recognized the importance of that as his son's talents began to take shape. The best player on his baseball team. Going into more detail, Pat spoke to newspaper The Los Angeles Times in February 2023. He recalled, Patrick grew up in the clubhouse, he was always around the game, and he was always the best player on his baseball team. He was an unbelievable shortstop. He always led his team in hitting, and he threw 97 mph on the mound. So I always thought he was going to be a baseball player. Broadening horizons. But as it turned out, Patrick had other sporting interests during his high school years. In addition to baseball, he played basketball and football, too. His brother looked to be heading in a similar direction, starring for the school basketball team. Jackson didn't stick with it, though, eventually becoming a marketing graduate and social media influencer. We wonder what Pat thought of that. Pat's dilemma. Come to that, how did Pat feel about his oldest son still pursuing 2 additional sports when he was so sure that Patrick had a future in baseball? Well, the ex-MLB star had also played 3 different sports in high school, so he was no stranger to that. Yet when it came to football, one meeting at the University of Texas left Patrick with a dilemma: changing positions. When Patrick started playing high school football as a freshman, he was a quarterback. Then, after switching to the varsity team due to injuries, his coaches moved him into the safety position, where he remained as a sophomore. And that's where the folks at the college saw his future on the football field. Now, Pat didn't agree with that assessment, not one bit. Wasting time. I said, if you're recruiting Patrick as a safety, you're not watching tape, because my son hasn't tackled anybody in 2 years, Pat told the Los Angeles Times. He can intercept the ball, but he's not a tackler. I just thought we were wasting time when he could have been working on the sports he would go to college for, baseball and basketball. Plus, I didn't want him to get hurt. Randy's intervention. Yet it's safe to say that not everyone agreed with Pat's stance, Randy in particular. She too weighed in on the conversation regarding her son's future, offering an alternative view. Could that have led to some tension at home for Patrick? He found himself in a position familiar to many people with divorced parents, and he would regret it. So what did Randy say, then? Pat recalled Patrick's mom had a talk with him and told him that if he did quit, he would regret it because he wouldn't be on that field with the guys. She told him to pray on it and think hard about what he wanted to do, and God would give him the answers. I guess God told him to keep on playing, making a choice. Yep, Randy's chat eventually persuaded Patrick to stick with the football, and in his last 2 years at high school, he reverted back to his preferred quarterback position, where he really started to thrive. The rest is history. Given his son's incredible trajectory, Pat must be relieved that his initial stance didn't stop his son's fledgling football career in its tracks. It's a proper what-if situation. Put it all together. Mind you, Pat doesn't regret the encouragement he gave Patrick to focus on other sports as opposed to football. The dad believes it's made him a better player as a result. He noted, "You can tell by the way Patrick plays quarterback that he took pieces of his basketball, the jump throws and no-look passes, and pieces of his baseball, the different arm angles, and he put it all together in a package in football, a united front." Patrick has had the full support of Pat and his mom ever since hitting the big time in the NFL. His parents often come together to watch their son from the sidelines, and they couldn't have been happier seeing him lift his second Super Bowl title in February 2023. That was clear in the post-game picture Randy shared on Instagram, where she reaffirmed her pride, always grinding. And Pat believes that his son could enjoy even more success in the NFL going forward thanks to his drive. The ex-MLB player added, "It's very easy to slack off when you're the best player on the field every time you step out there. But Patrick's always grinding, trying to get better." What parent doesn't want to see that quality in their child? It's also a warning to the rest of the league. The history-making deal. Assuming everything goes to plan, Mahomes' 10-year extension contract with the Kansas City Chiefs will see him earn a whopping $503 million. It's an eye-watering amount of money, and it's helped make him the highest-paid sports star in history. And while you'd think that someone with so many millions in the bank could do literally anything, one of the surprising ways that the Super Bowl star has chosen to spend it pays homage to his and his dad's baseball roots. Endorsement deals. For someone who took the NFL by storm, Mahomes quickly became one of the most marketable players in the league. For instance, by 2021 he was behind only Tom Brady in terms of money made from outside endorsements. That year alone he took home a heck of a chunk of change, $20 million, while advertising BioSteel Sports, Adidas and Oakley sunglasses. The richest man in professional sports right now. Not long after signing his historic contract, Mahomes spoke with Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports. Kerr began by stating, "You're the richest man in professional sports right now," and then asked, Can you walk us through the contract negotiations with the Chiefs? Did things go as smoothly as they seemed? Unsurprisingly, Mahomes stayed his usual calm and collected self in response. Security for the future of Mahomes' family. They really did confirm the superstar quarterback. The best thing that happened was the Chiefs and my team, we went in with an open mind. We tried to figure out what was not only best for me and my family, but also what was best for the team moving forward. He added, "Obviously, I'm very excited, very happy having security for my family and security for future generations. But I didn't even know NFL contracts did that." Interestingly, Mahomes admitted he was a little surprised at the length of the deal the Chiefs were prepared to offer him. He revealed, "There were two things I said when we went into negotiations. I wanted to keep great players around me, and I wanted to have long-term security for my family. I certainly wasn't thinking 10 years. I didn't even know NFL contracts did that. The best player and person I can be." Kerr then hit Mahomes with the question many people had on the tips of their tongues: do you feel any pressure trying to live up to your contract? Once again, though, Mahomes proved unflappable, answering, "Not necessarily. I'm going to go out there and be the best player and person I can be." He then revealed that he saw something deeper in the deal, an impact on and off the field. Mahomes said, "Obviously you want to win a lot of football games, but I feel if I not only make an impact on the football field but the Kansas City community for a long time, that will play out the contract, and that will be what pays off." At his core, Mahomes wanted to positively affect the people of Kansas City. And isn't that a worthy and mature outlook on a football contract? What was the first thing you bought? Putting aside maturity, though, Kerr then asked what even more fans were dying to know: what was the first thing you bought after you signed the contract? Perhaps he was expecting Mahomes to reply with a laundry list of extravagant purchases. But the answer was more sensible and reasoned than anyone would usually expect from a 24-year-old. Keeping his feet on the ground. "I got a house, but that was before the contract happened," explained Mahomes. "That was more of a, you're quarantined, you need somewhere to work out at home, so I got a house and a workout room and stuff like that back in Texas. So, I guess you can count that, but I haven't bought anything." Yes, the newly mega-rich quarterback was keeping his feet squarely on the ground. "I feel exactly the same," Mahomes revealed. "My dad texted me a couple days after the contract, 'Do you feel any different?' I said, 'I feel exactly the same. I'm going to be the same person I was before I got the contract and before I got to the NFL, to be the best Patrick Mahomes I can be every single day." And to his credit, Mahomes really did carry this sincere approach into his subsequent purchases and investments, buying a stake in the Royals. On July 28, 2020, a mere 4 days after the CBS Sports interview was published, Mahomes' first major investment was announced. The star quarterback had turned his attention to another sport close to his heart, baseball, and purchased a stake in the Kansas City Royals. The shares made him part owner of the team and the youngest owner in the long history of Major League Baseball. Roots in the Kansas community. In a heartfelt statement, Mahomes said, "I'm honored to become a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. I love this city and the people of this great town. This opportunity allows me to deepen my roots in this community, which is something I'm excited to do." CEO John Sherman added, "We are very proud and excited to have Patrick as our partner in the ownership group of this franchise. A real passion for baseball. Along with the rest of Kansas City, I have watched Patrick compete and become an extraordinary leader, both on and off the football field," continued Sherman. Consistent with the entirety of our ownership group, he has a deep commitment to Kansas City and a real passion for the game of baseball dating back to his childhood. You see, Mahomes grew up around baseball as much as football. The family drove the next investment too. Owning a piece of the Royals likely meant a lot to Mahomes' family, especially to his father, and one of his other investments also kept that sports family link strong. You see, not long after Mahomes had bought into the Royals, his wife, Brittany Matthews, launched her own part ownership bid with the Kansas City Current women's soccer team. Then, in January 2023, Mahomes joined his wife in part ownership. The Kansas City Current. On Instagram, Mahomes posted, "I am thankful for the chance to join Brittany as part of the Kansas City Current's ownership team. She and the Longs have done an incredible job building a world-class organization, and I am excited to join another championship-caliber club as it continues to make history once again. The choice of sport was sentimental to the Mahomes family, but Mahomes' wife was a soccer star in Iceland. That's right, Matthews was once a pro soccer player. After playing at college level for University of Texas Tyler, she traveled to Iceland to play one season for Afturölding. She even won the Icelandic championship. When the opportunity came up in Kansas City to get involved once again in the game she loves, she and her hubby jumped at the chance. What a burger. Mahomes doesn't just invest in sporting enterprises, though. In a super relatable move, he chose to put his money into a group bringing his favorite Texan fast food chain Whataburger to Kansas and Missouri. After all, as he told ESPN, "I love Kansas City, and I love Whataburger. I'm excited to help bring a gift from my first home to my second home." Hyperease. As well as this, Mahomes has also put his money into several tech brands. In 2020, he invested in Hyperease, a sports recovery technology company. Its main product, the Hypervolt massager, uses vibration and heat to soothe aching muscles. Mahomes said, "I've used Hyperease throughout my career as an instrumental part of my overall training and recovery routines to ensure I'm performing at my peak on game day." A forward-thinking approach. Jim Huther, Hyperease's head honcho, stated, "Patrick is the most dynamic and versatile young talent in the NFL. As impressive as he is on the field, his investment in and advocacy for Hyperease shows his forward-thinking approach to future successes off the field." The star quarterback, who believes the technology helps him accelerate his post-game recoveries, has lent his image to Hyperease advertising campaigns and endorsements. Whoop, another company that got Mahomes' dollar, is Whoop, which makes wearable fitness trackers. Mahomes invested during a $100 million financing round in 2020, a round which saw the company valued at $1.2 billion. He was introduced to the gizmos by his personal trainer, and now he swears by them so much so that he even appeared on the firm's official podcast to wax lyrical about the product. An insight into how his body copes with the NFL. The finely honed athlete revealed that the first thing he does when he wakes up is check his Whoop recovery score. He explained, "I look at it because I want to know how I'm feeling, how my body is feeling, where I'm at. Usually, if I'm feeling pretty relaxed, it's a pretty good score." Overall, he feels Whoop's trackers have helped him understand the stresses and strains the NFL puts on his body. An enviable car collection. Naturally, Mahomes doesn't just invest his money sensibly, he also blows it on fun stuff too. For starters, he has a car collection that would make many motor enthusiasts weep with jealousy. He owns a $338,000 Ferrari 812 Superfast, a $335,000 Rolls-Royce Cullinan, and also splashed out on a $222,000 Lamborghini Urus as an engagement gift for Matthews.